Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of About Abroad, where it's my job to introduce you to people who have built amazing lives for themselves in various foreign corners of the globe. We're talking with expats and thought leaders about moving abroad, remote work, visas, and all the fun and practical knowledge that you need to know to follow in their footsteps. If you've ever dreamed of making a life for yourself overseas, maybe working remotely or embracing long-term travel, retiring or studying abroad, or even just taking a peek inside life beyond your borders, you've landed in the right place. My guest today joins us from Brazil, but she is actually from Colombia, and that's where we spend most of our time. Her name is Ilana, and she's the founder of ePioneers, which is an entity that helps you get the brand new Digital Nomad visa for Colombia. Ilana was actually one of the leading voices behind creating that visa and all the legislation that came along with it in Colombia, and now she has developed this program that will help you get it super easily. So she'll connect you with all the entities that you need in order to call Colombia home. We also talk about why Colombia is such an amazing, vibrant country. People always talk about how it's one of the best places in the world. It's got so much diversity and vibrancy and culture. People just really love it for a reason. And so we dive into why that is the case. And finally, I want to say that there was some background noise in this recording. We considered canceling the interview because there was somebody in the background talking, but we just decided to push forward with it anyway because this is very important for people who are interested in living in Colombia. So please forgive the background noise. Enjoy the episode. Ilana was awesome, a lot of fun to talk to, and some super exciting things coming out of Colombia. Enjoy and help me in welcoming Ilana to About Abroad. Ilana, bienvenidos. Welcome to About Abroad. How's it going today?
Hey, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. No complaints. It's very cool to finally connect with you. I feel like we have a lot of mutual friends and have never actually had the chance to connect face to face. So I'm really looking forward to this. I'm very inspired by the work that you guys are doing at ePioneers. It touches on multiple things that really interest me and a lot that I think will be attractive to the About Abroad audience. So let's, I thought we'd just get started with a little bit of background. I believe you are currently not in your home country. We're going to spend a lot of time in Colombia talking about Colombia today, but you're currently in Brazil. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. It's funny because you mentioned home country, but so I'll give you a bit of background there. So my dad's family is Jewish, so they live between Israel and the US and Europe. So it's kind of like they've never had a home country, right? And then my mom's Colombian. And yeah, I'm living in Brazil right now. And yeah, I just arrived here a month ago and leaving in 2 months. So it feels like a very fast and short-lived trip, but super enjoying it.
Oh, that's cool. It sounds like a true global citizen. That's great. Well, so anyway, so Brazil is currently home, but Colombia is kind of the roots. And that's where ePioneers really took hold, and what I think is the most interesting part of this discussion we have today, because as you know, and as a lot of the audience knows, these digital nomad visas are emerging, popping up all over the place, which is super exciting. But you guys helped develop the first and maybe the only digital nomad visa in Latin America. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. And it all starts, in Colombia, because we noticed that many of our friends are digital nomads and they're stuck in the country or have to leave every 6 months to keep their status. And these are people who are adding a lot of value to the ecosystem, but they just happen to work as freelancers or entrepreneurs or, remote workers. And so that's when it all starts. And yeah, Colombia just approved the final resolution. We took it from design of the law itself to implementation to development, coordinating across different public entities. And super excited about this, what it implies for everyone, internationals and also nationals, and the impact it's creating. So yeah,
super cool. So what's some of the basic frameworks of this digital nomad visa? They come in all different shapes and sizes. Some are for certain 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. Some require you pay taxes there, some don't. Some require minimum incomes, and some are only available to certain nationalities. So without having to go through every line of the legislation, which I'm sure we don't have time to do, what are some of the main bullet points that people should know?
Yeah, so main bullet points: you don't have to leave the country every 6 months now. You can stay up to 2 years. if you prove that you're a digital nomad, and then if you get the visa, of course. Also, it's open to all countries, so there's no barrier in terms of your nationality type, no age restriction, and also it's relatively kind of like easy to apply to it. So of course there's a process, but it's very kind of open for student nomads or also like work nomads. So that's something that that's pushed. Yeah.
Very cool. So pretty wide open in terms of like who can apply. That's a great first step. I think that's something that a lot of these digital nomad visas, the legislation behind a lot of these is not doing so well, is they're keeping it very limited. So that's awesome that you guys started with that. Like let's just start it with opening up the doors to as many people that want to come in as possible. And 2 years is on the long term as well. That's a lot longer than most of them. Usually they're 6, 12 or 18 months. So that's amazing.
Yeah, no, I think it's something that hopefully will bring a lot of value. And people normally stay a year, maybe 2. And so, I think this is very, very interesting for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And so what about the application process? Like, what are they looking for? And is there a minimum, fixed income that you need to prove or anything like that?
Yeah, you do. And I can send you the website for you to read it because it's already public. But you have to apply, bank statements, proof of income, whether you're a freelancer or entrepreneur. You do have to show you have the capacity to stay for a few months. You also have to write a recommendation letter, like an application letter, pay a fee, and also present an insurance in your path. Those are kind of the 5 main variables.
Pretty straightforward. I mean, some of these get super complicated. That's definitely on the easier side. Safe to assume that fee is not like exorbitant, correct? Like in the hundreds of dollars maybe or something around there?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay, great. I've seen some that are charging like thousands and like they're charging like $5,000 and you have to have 7,000 or 8,000 per month in income. And I'm like, you're limiting the pool very, very much just right off the bat in that way.
Yeah, I think I heard somewhere in Asia they were charging fees like this. I don't remember country, but yeah.
Yeah, that's why I find this so fascinating because you've traveled around, you've lived in a lot of different countries. I think you mentioned to me where you've lived in the US and Mexico and Spain and a handful of different places, right?
Yes, yeah. I mean, I think like we are kind of evolving as a human species, and it sounds crazy, but I think new jobs are opening new ways to life, and you being in one geography is one of them. Like you don't have to be on site to live or work. And I think more governments will start launching these types of visa to compete for talent, and people will be able to be free and work from 1 month from one city and then the next from another city in another country. So I think this is kind of the trend.
Yeah, I think remote work has kind of like leveled the playing field and opened up. We say often like democratized opportunity across the world, and the next phase in that, I think it's like that's great. That's an awesome first step. People can access jobs and great opportunities around the world, regardless of where they grew up. And that does truly open up opportunities. And I think this next step is this sort of borderless living where people can, choose where they truly want to live. And there's a legal pathway for them to call a place home, because a place like Colombia, for instance, is like endeared. I mean, I have had people on the show who have traveled the world, lived all over, and they will say Colombia is their favorite place in the world. Like it pops up very regularly, but without a path to go to actually like settle down there, it can only be a temporary stay. And so I think it's so mutually beneficial to have these digital nomad visas that allow people who truly want to be there. They want to invest in the local economy. They want to be a part of the culture there. But just because they were born and grew up on some other side of some other imaginary line, that'll never be an option for them. It's very cool to see these two things intersecting, where they now have the opportunity to access work and they can call the place they want home.
I don't see it that way, but I see your point. Just to frame how the visa was created, when we created the visa, we were thinking about developing the ecosystem because my background is in ed tech, so I know what technology in a few months can change in terms of your capacity to create for yourself or your capacity to change your life with new skills. And in the ecosystem, I'm known for coding bootcamps and all of this, right? So when we approached this, we were thinking about developing the ecosystem and bringing people to help us develop the ecosystem. And I think the narrative is more on the side of, hey, we're all human beings. Your nationality kind of comes to the second phase. What's your capacity to create? for yourself and for your community, more than like having to call yourself home in one place or the other. So it's kind of a different frame. And this visa was framed like that. We were like, okay, we want to be able to, continue developing Colombia for ourselves and for our ecosystem, and also help people who want to come to our place, help it develop. Let's help them stay longer and not have to leave every 6 months or things like this. So when we frame it, we kind of frame it the other way around.
I'm actually not seeing how it's so different. What is the other way around? Because you only see them as being there for a short period of time and then they move on?
Well, there are many kind of more subtle realities that need to be kind of spoken. So a lot of Americans come to Colombia for sex. There's a lot of sexual trafficking or sexual tourism. And there's also a reputation of Colombia, because of the history of Colombia around drug dealing that has shaped the narratives around Colombia, and also poverty and you not having the same opportunities and all of these things. So when we thought about developing this new visa, we weren't coming from those narratives. We were coming from the narratives of, hey, we're creators. Technology is this amazing way for us to communicate, participate, and co-create regardless of where we're at. Let's build this system so that the ecosystem is opened up and people can come and go, more than, hey, we want you to have access to more opportunities by working from another country that's not your home, right? The different framing. And so in particular, this Digital Nomad visa, like because of those narratives and the emotional weight that they can bring or not, we were very conscious about when we were communicating with the ecosystem players to be very clear from what narrative we were coming from, because the country right now is going through a lot of changes. And like I was telling you, a lot of unicorn companies are starting to grow from Latin America in general, because we realized that, hey, we can create the technologies, we can innovate, we can be leaders in this, and not having, to leave to the US or to the UK, which is kind of the narrative that a lot of people think, or in general, the world thinks about Latin America or the big South or things like this. So it's more of, okay, it makes sense to open up borders, to open up systems, to, enable anyone working from anywhere. And we are the creators, we're the developers, we're the innovators, so it's a very different frame.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I think that's one of the very cool things about this whole ecosystem is that these types of visas can be tailored to fit the needs of the individual countries. What works with for the Digital Nomad visa in Colombia is very different than what the people of Croatia are trying to accomplish with theirs, perhaps, but they both serve the needs of the individual countries in their own respective ways.
Yeah, and the Americans saving millions of dollars because life is cheaper in Colombia, and they find stuff that they won't find otherwhere and anywhere. So I think it's beneficial for everyone, regardless of the nationality. But the framing of this visa in particular was like more like from that kind of creative side.
I love it. That's amazing. We'll be right back to the show after a quick break for a note from our sponsor. This season is brought to you by my good friends over at Insured Nomads. They're the absolute best in the business when it comes to providing health, travel, and medical insurance for nomads, expats, and really just all forms of world travelers. I know insurance is often something that's overlooked when we're fantasizing about traveling the world, but it's absolutely necessity that we address this, because often the policy you have in your home country isn't going to cover you while you're abroad. And it's also a requirement, as a lot of people may not realize, to actually buy private travel or expat insurance, as it's called sometimes, to obtain a visa or even enter certain countries. So fortunately, there are companies like Insured Nomads to help us with this. Not only do they have excellent coverage and great prices, but they're also providing a first-class experience with additional perks and best-in-class technology via their app. It's an amazing experience. I can't recommend it enough. Now, this is a company that was built by world travelers for world travelers. So they know what it's like to find yourself in a difficult medical situation abroad, and they want to keep you from having that same bad experience. So the next time you're planning a trip abroad, whether it's for a week or a lifetime, check out Insured Nomads via the link in the show notes. If you've made it this far into the episode and you're still enjoying yourself, then I would love to ask a quick favor. Open up the app that you're using to listen to this podcast and leave a quick review. You can do this in Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and really just about any platform that allows podcast listening now. If you can't find that in the interface of the app, then scroll down in the show notes and find ratethispodcast.com/aboutabroad, and you should be able to leave it from there. Thanks so much, guys. We really appreciate it and hope you enjoy the rest of the show. Okay, now back to the episode. So how is ePioneers? You guys helped develop the visa. You were part of that program. That all kind of goes through the government. But then there's this separate entity that you run called ePioneers. What specifically is ePioneers doing, and how are you helping connect those dots?
Yeah, so ePioneers has two kind of like branches. So one is the online concierge. So we believe in decentralized lives, decentralized work, access to opportunities based on your talent more than anything else. And so we are helping people connect with different ecosystems with the software, and our team of, legal experts and also accountants and other digital nomads. So this is one branch, and this is what's active in Colombia for the visa. And in parallel, we started to notice there were many problems around, borders. In particular, in Colombia, a lot of people go to Colombia to do tourism, but there's a very kind of serious problem happening, and it's the loss of the ecosystems of nature here in Brazil and Colombia in general. And we were like, okay, how can we create experiences for international people and local people to discover nature and help protect it? So we launched what we call a Cryptoclimate Wallet that enables you to collect, bucket list experiences and NFTs that are connected to those bucket list experiences. And the NFTs represent climate portfolios, whether that's for carbon removal or carbon reduction. So it's more of like a climate fintech brand.
Wow, it's got like somebody on the surface might have. I can see the connection for sure, but someone on the surface might say like, wow, it almost sounds like two totally different things, like the digital nomad visa and facilitating someone getting that, and then connecting the dot with these like NFTs and crypto and sustainability projects. How do you explain that to someone that's a little bit confused at first? Like, what's the red thread that ties those together?
Decentralization. I mean, if you think about digital nomads and all these remote work trends, it's a decentralized way of living. And same is crypto. Like when you have access to crypto, you're accessing a decentralized system, whether that's for money or whether that's for art collection or NFT souvenirs or whatever you're kind of offering. But it's the underlying that connect. So yeah, this is kind of the answer.
Yeah. I love it. They do, like, once you dig just a little bit beyond the surface, there's a clear connection there. And so, correct to say that if somebody is extremely interested in making this move to Colombia, they want to get this 2 years, they would simply go to your website at ePioneers, which we will have in the show notes, of course, so people can just click straight through to that, and you guys would help them facilitate that whole process.
Yeah, and one thing I was telling you, so technology enables you to not just make things more transparent and hopefully more transparent, but also there's a significant reduction of the resources that are spent doing the same activity. So accessing the ecosystem is not going to cost you thousands of dollars just to pay for a lawyer to see if you can apply for a visa, which is what's happening. But you're going to do it with software and the combination of human development, human people who are also the software, and mentoring or doing one-on-one with you if you need it. So it's this combination that is also happening with ePioneer.
I love it. Do you guys have any aspirations to get involved with the new, you're there in Brazil, the new Brazil digital nomad visa that's supposedly coming through?
Yeah, so it's already announced. We are business partners of Darwin, which is a fintech accelerator here in Brazil. And they're kind of, the guys at B3, Safra, Sinqia, RTM. So these are the organizations that are creating the fintech and kind of pushing for a more open fintech ecosystem and promoting startups that are making the ecosystem better. So we have those kind of like networks, but right now our focus here in Brazil is mostly creating partnerships and building community around nature restoration and Web3. So we're kind of very early stage, but yeah, of course, if the visa comes through in a few months, we're going to be kind of supportive and see if we can add something and help, right? So
yeah. It would be, it seems like it would be very easy to replicate, not easy, that's the wrong word, but it would be very possible to replicate what you've done in facilitating that for Colombia, for the Brazil market as well. I think those are going to be, as these become more well-known, these are going to be two very popular countries for digital nomads to go visit and stay in. So I'd imagine the demand will be there.
Yeah, it's already here. You see a lot of people from overseas here already.
You can say gringos. It's okay.
Yeah, you see a lot of foreigners.
I found out something I learned here after spending like a lot of time in Latin America, like, and being referred to as a gringo many times. I got used to that, but I found out in Europe and Spain, they were like, when they think that I'm probably someone from England initially, and they call us Guiris. Giri.
You're in Spain right now, right? Are you in Barcelona?
Yeah.
Where are you?
I'm in Valencia, Spain.
Valencia. Oh, okay. Yeah. Close to Barcelona. Yeah, the Guiris. Yeah. I just in language, I'm extra cautious with these things of narratives, like biases and all. But gringo, so the term comes from like, when in the kind of very early Mexican history, they'll see someone with like, a green shirt from, like, I guess like the Americans will say, they were already Americans at the time. And so they'll see the shirt and be like, oh, there's a green shirt coming, like, so go, leave. So the term is kind of like negative. So I try to be very mindful about not using it, but
I'm sorry.
Like the foreigners,
Yeah. Well, I totally understand us. I can push the boundaries on my own show, I guess. There's nobody that's going to slap me and say I did it. I did something wrong.
But maybe the audience will feel offended if I said gringo,
Yeah. We're a very open bunch here. We have to have fun with these things. So no worries at all. That's a bit of fun. So yeah, the Guiris thing cracked me up because when someone said that, like, I was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be offended or not. I'm actually just intrigued. Can you explain that to me?
Yeah. No, the Guiris. Yeah. I like Spain a lot.
It's a great country to live. I've enjoyed being here. I've been here for 4 years now, and
Nice.
It's been a lot of fun. So it's a good place. Actually, on that note, I would love to ask you just a couple questions real quick. While we've been talking so much about Colombia, and actually I've done a couple episodes on Colombia in the past. So for people that are interested so far, if you want to do a deep dive on Colombia just as a place to live, especially as a foreigner, go back through previous episodes. You can go deeper on that. But I would just love to hear from you as like kind of a local, what is it about Colombia that makes it so magical? Because I'm not like just saying this to you because you're here on the show right now. It is a place, it's one of those handful of countries in the world that pops up very regularly that is just, people say that's my favorite place to go. And so it's, there's so many countries to choose from. Like if you said that about any country, it would be like, oh, why that place above all else? But Colombia is one of those ones that's very, commonly referred to as a top destination. So what do you think it is about Colombia in general?
Yeah, to answer this, I'll answer in two. So one, the space, right? The place. So Colombia has like all the climate kind of floor, and you can go from, the Caribbean kind of north side of the country to, snowy peak in a few hours in the same kind of area. So we're known for being the most biodiverse ecosystem by square meter. And so we're the home of like the most amount of butterflies in the world, the most amount of hummingbirds in the world, the most amount of like flowers in the world. So there's a lot of diversity here and fruits, and there's that. Also in terms of like the connection, so we're kind of in the north, so it's kind of the beginning of South America, Latin America, and so we're close to all the different countries. And historically, it's been a hub for connections and kind of like people coming or going through Colombia. So there's that too. Also, more on the people side, I think we're very nice, and I've struggled with this because we're very welcoming. And a lot of times people think we're trying to hit on them or something, but we're just very nice. So if we like you or if we want to talk to you, we invite you for a coffee without anything of interest and just getting to know you, right? So we're very kind of open and welcome. In general, people are very nice. And the more I travel, the more I see that kind of like if you have a question in the street, we'll try to answer it, like more open, and it varies depending on the city too. But in general, Colombians are very kind of friendly and nice. And also, in terms of what's happening right now, so the country is going through a lot of changes. So a few years ago, we signed the peace treaty after like 50 years of conflict. There's still a lot of challenges, but it's a very historic moment for Colombia. And I think, the diversity of Colombia and like all these changes, all the startups coming out of Colombia. So I think that's something that as a Colombian, I'm very proud of, and I can celebrate. But there's still a lot of work. I'll say those things. And I hear people are beautiful too. So like physically, yeah.
You've been told that's like gringo. You're like, I can't say it, but if you say it, that's okay.
No, I think in general, if you travel outside, you see Latin American people are very attractive in general. From my
yeah. No, and also I have to say, like, to to back you up on something that you just said there, like my wife and I spent some time living in Ecuador, and there were a ton of Colombians there in Ecuador, and we regularly went to this like kind of like salsa bar, salsa dance, not salsa the food, salsa the dance kind of bar that we would had like salsa music on certain nights, and it was lots of Colombians, and we meshed very well with the Colombian people. Like we made more Colombian friends than we made Ecuadorian friends, for instance. And there was like, and we couldn't quite put our finger on it, but we would just say like the Colombians are just so like open and vibrant. And that was nothing against anybody in Ecuador. We made lots of Ecuadorian friends, had a lot of fun meeting people there as well. But there was something special about the relationships we formed with people from Colombia, and that like when I think back on the most fun times that I had there, it was probably going there and that, you know, that salsa place with lots of Colombians, and it was a very fun atmosphere. So anyway, that's always kind of resonated with me.
That's awesome. So have you been to Colombia already, or?
No, I didn't even make it. Our plan was to be there we were supposed to be there for a year and planned to our plan was to kind of be in one place, and we only ended up being there for 6 months. So several trips that we had kind of like set up to go on. Colombia would have been one. Galapagos was another one. Anyway, we ended up not being able to do. We had a business finagle or a business fiasco that kind of took us away sooner rather than expected. But anyway, it was an awesome time, and so I hope to make it to Colombia soon.
Yeah, super welcome. And with this new visa, you know, there's no reason not to go now. I don't know. No, it's all right. Yeah, I think if you're a nomad, like it's a good time to see Colombia right now.
Where would you tell someone to go? What's the like one or two places where, you know, people know the main cities, and I don't know if that's what you would recommend, but if so, that's fine. But where would be a couple places you would tell someone who's totally unfamiliar?
So Tayrona Park, you know, this is the north. It's a national park, and it has, you know, the snowy peak. It's like a tropical glacier. Very weird because there are very few. So you have snow in the peak, and then if you go to the bottom, there's the Caribbean Sea, which is beautiful. Also the Amazon. So 42% of Colombia is Amazon, which is amazing if you think about it. So go to the Amazon of Colombia. Say Bogota, I'm from Bogota, Medellin too, and then the Choco, which is the Pacific side, where you can see the whales kind of like visiting the Pacific shores of the country.
That diversity is insane. When you think about the size of Colombia, especially for people from the US or Canada, or like you think about like the size of Colombia and all that you can find in that amount of space, that's amazing, incredible. Are you team Bogota or team Medellin?
So look, I don't want to answer this question. I'm from Bogota and I love Bogota, but my team is actually from Medellin. I like Colombia in general. Yeah, I like Colombia. I cheer for the.
That's a very Switzerland answer. We'll stay neutral. That's cool. We're not going to make any enemigos here.
I live in Medellin too. I just think that we need to be united to get country better together, you know.
I agree. I love that. That's a beautiful answer. Okay, cool. Well, hey, I know you have you're running like multiple companies in multiple countries, and you're a busy person. So thank you for spending some time with us today. This was very informative. Real quick, just tell people where to go to find more about you and ePioneers, and we'll also put this information in the show notes.
Yeah, go to visa.epioneer.co to learn more about this program. And then if you want to reach me, just Ilana Milkes for Twitter or Instagram. And my email is ilana@a.com. And thank you so much for the invitation. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. It was really cool reflecting on all you're doing, and I love it. So thank you so much. Gracias. We'll see you the next time.
Vale. Chao, que estés bien.
Thanks for tuning in today from wherever you are in the world. Once again, I'm Chase, and this has been another episode of About Abroad. For those of you wondering how you can best support the show, I have made it super simple for you. Just go over to the show notes of the episode that you just finished listening to and click on one of the two following links. aboutabroad.com/newsletter to get our monthly newsletter, no spam, guaranteed, or ratethispodcast.com/aboutabroad, where you can quickly and easily leave a review for the show. It's not just important to me, it also helps more wanderers just like you find us. Finally, don't forget to subscribe on your podcast platform of choice, and we will see you again next week. Thanks again. Hasta luego, amigos.